Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Laura Nelson. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Director of Marketing at Broadly.com. We collaborate with local businesses, including salon and spa professionals on their online presence and client reviews. So every day I get to talk with business owners like you on the topics of standing out online and getting great client reviews. The information I cover today and the examples that I use are catered toward professionals who work in salons, say hairstylists, or they work in spas. Perhaps you're an esthetician or a masseuse. However, these examples can easily apply to you if you're managing any type of local business. So what we're going to talk about is how you can stand out online and how you can get great customer reviews for the purposes of attracting new clients. These are the type that you want and the clients who are going to come back, who are going to stay loyal to your salon or to your spa. The ultimate goal here is to help you use great client reviews to grow your business. I'm really hoping to give you some concrete takeaways that you can put into practice right after this webinar. So, a few housekeeping items before we get started. Submit questions using the questions feature on the GoToWebinar software. So, what I mean by that is use that panel on the right, about 2/3 of the way down. You'll see an option for questions. So you can type those in as the session goes along. I'll answer them to the best of my ability as we go along, and I'll definitely leave some time at the end to address them as well if I don't catch them as we go along. This is what that panel looks like, if you haven't found it already. Again, this is the questions feature. Next, we get a lot of questions about the recording. We will be sending this to everyone who registered and attended the webinar. So take a look out for that in your email in the next day or so. And finally, follow us on Twitter. Our handle is GetBroadly, and you can reach me directly at laura@broadly.com. I'll also show my contact information at the end again, so you have it. So let's get started. Here you are. You've been in business maybe 10 or 20 years or more. So maybe you have a huge, great book of clients. On the flip side, you might just be starting out. You might just be looking for your newest clients in the coming weeks and months. In either scenario, whether you're new or whether you're the veteran, you have a staff. You've got a mortgage or rent to pay. You've got equipment. Maybe you have insurance. Whether the case, in either scenario, really, you know that the success of your business hinges on your clientele. So a lot of you tell me each and every day that referrals and word of mouth bring you the best clients within your community. There probably isn't enough of that, though, right? You're probably here today wondering, how do you drive more word of mouth? How do you get your happy clients talking about your salon or your spa online? It all starts with first understanding who they are. So let's take a look at that. Who are your clients? As a marketer, I like to think of your client as a modern consumer. I'll call her Elsie. She's a typical modern consumer of 2017. So who is Elsie? She's married. She lives in Livermore, California. She owns a house. She has a couple kids. She works full-time as a school teacher. She's involved with the PTA. You might find that Elsie resembles you in many ways, or she certainly resembles your average client. Elsie is very well connected. What do I mean by that? Well, If Elsie needs an answer to an everyday question, she goes right to Google. If she's looking for a restaurant, she's checking out Yelp. If Elsie's booking a vacation for her family, she doesn't make any reservations until she consults with TripAdvisor. The reality today, as you well know already, is that the internet is now in our pockets. We no longer have to be tech savvy to utilize it in our everyday lives. You may not think of yourself as being the most connected in this way, but I assure you, your clients are. So when someone like Elsie or you or I needs to solve a problem and find a local business, whether that be a pediatric dentist for our kids, a roofer to repair a leak, or a new salon or spa in our area, we ask our friends for recommendations, or we might go straight to our smartphone. We're not alone. In fact, 80% of consumers are going online and using search engines, most likely Google, to find local information. So like modern consumers, we're all going online to solve our immediate problems. So what does that look like? You've seen this search box, no doubt, before. To start our search, we're going to Google. Let's say Elsie's looking for a salon in her hometown and isn't sure who to call. She may dial up Google in this very same way. Salon in Livermore, California. Let's take a look at what comes up in this scenario. When you do this kind of search in Google, toward the top, you're going to see a map just like this with 3 choices. We call this the Google 3-pack. You also see a bunch of links. You might see some ads that come before this box, and you'll definitely see some organic search results below this 3-pack. So if you were to type in your category, say salon or spa, and the name of your city, I hope that you're showing up in this 3-pack or just below it. You'll see your competitors there for sure. So take a look at this example in Livermore. There's some competition in the area, but who are you going to choose? So what here stands out? The choice is very clear to me when I look at this. If we're like the typical modern consumer, our eyes are going to go to that top choice, Fusion 3. Not only does it have a 5-star rating, it's got 39 reviews on Google. This far exceeds the other choices in this list. You know that the reviews really helped differentiate that choice. Let's talk about what are these stars and how do you get them? These are the reviews written by Google users. These are the people who have Google accounts, like Gmail. So how do you get a client to go here and write a review? It's hard, but it's not impossible. As I've demonstrated already, and as you probably know already, these reviews are super important to consumers. In fact, 88% of people are trusting these online reviews written by other consumers just as much as they trust that referral they get from their actual friends. So in other words, what you and I are learning about local businesses on Google, on Facebook, on Yelp, that's just as important to us as what our friends are saying. So these reviews, they really matter. And I'm guessing you probably recognize that already by joining our webinar today. So we've just established that consumers are definitely going online, which is where you have to be also, just as you had to be listed in the phone book decades ago. Today you have to be accessible easily via that smartphone I showed you. So maybe you're thinking, Laura, I already know that. I know I need to be online. I just need to know how to get there. Where am I going to place my bets and what it's going to cost me? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to acknowledge the internet is complicated. The world is changing. You do have to deal with Google, with Yelp, and with others. There's algorithms, particularly in the Google search, that we can't always nail down. There's a lot of options available to you when it comes to advertising online or paying various types of web consultants. But I know that there are very fundamental things that you can do to give yourself a powerful boost in a very cost-effective way. A huge part of that is understanding that your best clients can do your marketing for you. We'll talk about that in terms of online reviews in the coming minutes. But first, I want to step back and just talk about the most important pages and websites to your business. What are they? They're these 4 pages. They're your Google business listing, your Yelp profile, your Facebook business page, and your website. Why these 4 pages? Well, all of these pages working together, they form a strong foundation for your business's online presence. You might be thinking, hey, I don't read reviews, it doesn't matter. What does matter is your clients are, and so are the clients that you're trying to attract. What's more, if they get that recommendation from their friend in their area, they're still going online to look you up and learn more from those reviews. So nothing's going to rival these 4 pages in terms of your business getting found and chosen by that ideal client. The first thing you must do, if you haven't done it already for your business, is to set up your Google business page. So let's talk about Google, and let's walk through those steps. So a lot of people already, they're familiar with how to use Google, right? Those steps that I walked through before from the consumer's point of view. However, you may know this already as a business owner. If you're trying to stand out online, the mechanics of Google are a little more complex. Their algorithm changes a lot. It's tough to keep up with those changes and feel like you're in control. But there are fundamental things that you can do, that you can control, that will ensure that your business looks great in a Google search. So again, let's talk about that Google listing. This is what you're looking at on the right of the Google search. This is your typical Google search result if you're searching for the name of an actual business. So we're going to focus on that panel on the right. Almost every business has a Google listing. If you don't think you have one, it probably looks a little like this. There's a little bit of information about your business, maybe a photo from the street of your location, but it's pretty much a blank slate. You'll notice, though, that this is what actually puts your business on the map. So let's take a look a little deeper into all of the elements of this Google listing. Again, this is a free page that enables you to provide more information about your business and connects you to prospective clients in your area. So for instance, you can add photos, you can verify your address and phone number, you can suggest changes to Google's data, such as your business hours, and you can show off your client reviews. So every salon or spa owner has the opportunity to claim this listing or create one if you don't have one today. So I want to show you an example of what that should look like once you take ownership of that page. So take a look at this example, Fusion 3 again, in Livermore. I want to show you in detail why this is among the top choices for local search that I showed you earlier. And note how the photos and additional information in client reviews, they add real context for that prospective client about the business. If they've added photos to their listing, you can see inside the salon and get a feeling for what that client experience might be. They've generated 39 Google reviews. They've updated their hours. They've given clients an understanding of when they can drop in or when they can call. They've given the client a real reason to trust the business, though, with these reviews. And you can see these excerpts on the bottom. So I want to talk about how this salon has 39 Google reviews. That's a fair amount. I get asked by a lot of people, how many Google reviews should I have? The answer really depends on the type of business you're running and your local area. So do that search in your own area and see how your competitors are doing with respect to their Google reviews. You may find that you might not need as many as 39. You might find that you need more than 39. You've got to assess what your target is with respect to where you are and what your competition is doing. I will say, though, you're going to need more than 4 or 5 reviews. And the reason for that is that the first few are suspect. They often come from family or friends, and you really need to extend beyond that network to build a trusted stable of client testimonials. Because when I look at reviews like these, I trust what I'm learning about the client experience. As I mentioned earlier, Google's search algorithm is not entirely known. It's constantly changing. However, we do know that Google values recent and relevant reviews. The updates that I pointed out today, they're the must-dos that make a difference between a business that's standing out, like Fusion 3, or one that's just simply listed. So really, when you take a look at this opportunity for your own business, this is a win. This is something that you should feel excited about. So again, if you don't have that Google listing set up, that's the first thing I want you to do next. I want to change gears for a minute and touch on your Yelp page next. I bet a lot of you have experience with Yelp already. You're familiar with how it works and perhaps how some of the mechanics work. But I want to clarify this for you today. I talk with all types of business owners all day long, as I mentioned, including spa and salon owners. And there's this common misconception that one must pay Yelp in order to have a strong profile. So I want to clarify that. There's a lot of things that you can do with your Yelp profile for free. So it's free to claim your page. It's free to provide a bio, photos, and additional context on your page. It's free to add your hours, your address, your website, and contact info. You can do all of that without paying for advertising on Yelp. More importantly, though, you can't pay Yelp to get the part that matters most, and that's your client reviews. Remember, that's why people are going to Yelp in the first place. It's perhaps the most popular review site, but they're going to read about your reviews. So just as with the Google listing, it's really critical that you take ownership of this page. So take a look at this example again, of Fusion 3. Here's a good example of what that page looks like once it's claimed and improved. Let's walk through some of the important elements. First, your business name, your star rating. Quite simply, how are your clients scoring their experience with you, with your business? When prospective clients visit your page, that's where their eyes are really going first. So next, let's take a look at your business's contact information. As mentioned, this is another free aspect of the listing. So make sure that your prospective clients can get in touch with you. Is your phone number right? Are you linking your website? So just fundamental steps that again make a difference in building trust and authority on these public profiles. Your business photos. Here's another free aspect of the listing. So share pictures of your work, your happy clients, your salon, the interior, your spa. Make it inviting, make them want to visit. Yelpers in particular, they really love photos, and if they're happy, they're going to add to the photos that you provide on your page. Next, on the lower right, these are your hours. Let clients know, when you're open, when they can expect to get a hold of you. Again, this is important to Yelp because they actually do have a search filter, based upon businesses that are only open, depending on when that client searches. So we'll make sure that's accurate. I've shown you a few of the best practices for the things that are seen on the consumer side, but I also want to take you under the hood of that Yelp listing. In other words, what does it look like when you've taken ownership of that page? So here's an example of that Yelp dashboard. You get access to all of your page statistics when you take ownership of your page. This is that initial dashboard you'll see. You can access this from biz.yelp.com. This includes a summary of what's happening on your page, front and center. Shows the number of visitors you have. Pay attention to that. You can also see that activity feed. What types of people are coming to your page? Where are they going from there? On the left side, you'll see all the options. It's where you can update your business information, such as your hours, your website. You add your photos, and you can see all of your reviews as well. So speaking of reviews, you saw that option to get there on the left. This is the most important area of the page. This is where you can review your own reviews and respond to them too. As I mentioned, business owners have a misunderstanding about Yelp sometimes. They think they have to pay for access to these features, but that's simply not true. So if you haven't already, I strongly encourage you to take advantage of these free features. Let's talk about Facebook. You probably have a personal account already. You might be wondering, how does a salon or how does my spa effectively engage on a platform like Facebook? Facebook for you, it might be just about catching up with your friends or keeping track of your kids. You might be wondering, where does your business come in? I want to let you know that Facebook's increasingly important to local consumers. You'll definitely need a Facebook page for your business, as some of your new clients might even be responding or relying on their Facebook network to get recommendations for businesses like yours. Your happy clients, they're going to be talking about your business. They're going to be referring to your friends to your business. They might even be rating it on this page. So you'll need a place for all of those conversations to refer to. As with Google and Yelp, every business can set up a page on Facebook for free. So here's a few of the things that I want to point out. Photos. You can add photos for free. Show off your great work, your happy clients. Once again, you can get client ratings. You can list your contact info. Just give yourself another touch point to be reached by that client you're trying to attract. Definitely point this page to your website so prospective clients can learn more. And take advantage of Facebook messaging. So all of these options really help you just create another way to engage with that prospective client on a platform where they're hanging out and spending a lot of time. We've covered some of the fundamentals on important consumer pages like Google, Yelp, and Facebook. So all of these pages, if they're set up right, they're going to link back to your website. Your website is still critical to doing business. It's your home online. It's where you have full control of your business's story. This is where your prospective clients are going, either to book an appointment or learn more about you, your staff, your services. So I want to take a few moments to point out the most important elements of your your actual website pages. I'm going to use Fusion 3 again for an example. They've got a really strong, inviting, appealing website. So I encourage you to also make sure your website's inviting. Create an easy to follow navigation with clear contact info. You can see that menu along the top. Makes it crystal clear that the visitor can find what they're looking for quickly and easily. On the topic of an inviting website, photography makes a world of difference. So show off your location, your great work. Perhaps most importantly, though, make sure that your website is mobile friendly. More than half of all Google searches are done on mobile devices. So if you're not sure if your website is mobile friendly, there's a simple tool on Google that will let you know. I encourage you to take advantage of this tool. It's super important. That's why I've included the link here. Write this down. Make sure that your website is passing this basic test that will enable it to rank effectively in local search. So according to Google, sites that are not mobile friendly are penalized, and you don't want to be in the penalty box with Google. So with that, let's move on. Let's dig deeper into some of the most important pages. Services. Talk about what your specialties are at your spa, at your salon. How are you going to help your prospective clients? The best websites clearly and explicitly outline how you pamper and treat your clients. So they will be looking for that information and that level of detail. Next, you talk about who you are. This is one of your most important pages, and it's okay to tell your story here. Your story can go a long way to humanize your business, to make it local, to make it inviting and homey. We recommend including more photos here, of you, the owner, of your staff. Let this part of your website enable you to build that trusted relationship, with your prospective clients. Next, reviews or testimonials. This is the most important page on your website. It's crucial. So remember that stat I talked about earlier, that 88% of people are trusting online reviews written by other consumers as much as they trust those recommendations from friends. These reviews are going to help you build that trust. They provide that sort of social proof that you are who you say you are. Share your great customer testimonials and reviews here. What's interesting enough, and you probably picked up on this already, reviews are really the common thread that all of these important pages we talked about today have in common. For one, you really want to get great reviews on Google, as they'll help you be found in that initial search. Secondly, you got to get great reviews on Yelp. Your profile is only as strong as your rating and the number of reviews that you have. Third, you want to enable your clients to rate and refer your business on Facebook. That's where they're hanging out. That's where they're recommending things to their friends. Fourth, you want to showcase these reviews on your website. This is where prospective clients are winding up from all three of those pages. So reviews will make or break your business, period. You may be wondering, okay, I've got it, I'm sold. How do I get real reviews, from real clients? I referenced this earlier about activating those happy clients and enabling them to do your marketing for you. It really is time to get proactive about your process. So what you need to do, you need to create a system. You need a system to thank your clients and ask about their experiences. Are they satisfied with the service that you provided? Or is there a lingering issue that you need to fix? You won't know either way until you follow up with your clients and you ask them. So this needs to be an automatic part of wrapping up any appointment that you have with your valued clients. I do want to pause for a second here, though. This is scary for a lot of business owners. I get a lot of pushback on this concept, especially if you haven't done it before. You might be nervous. You might be thinking, what if there's something bad? What if I put this idea to complain in their heads? What if I'm bothering them by asking? What I want to do today is assure you that it doesn't matter. You have to do this anyway. You have to signal to your clients that you care. But there's upside. The good news is that if you're running an honest business, then the majority of your clients are satisfied. And if you make it easy enough for them, you're going to start getting their 5-star feedback once you ask for it. So let's walk through some of the options on how this can work for you. There's a lot of different ways that you can reach your clients following that appointment. You can ask them, as they're paying on the way out in person. Or you can call them on the phone at a later time, hours or days after the appointment. You can send them an email or a text message, both electronic methods. Or you can send them something like a postcard or survey in the mail. What I want to underscore here is that the important thing to do is to determine what works best for your business. So ask yourself, which of these methods are my clients most likely to respond to? Let's talk about some of the advantages of each of these ways. So first, ask in person. You've probably experienced this in your life already. The most common example I can think of, is in a restaurant scenario. You may be mid-meal, and either the server comes out and checks in on your table, or you might have a visit from the chef. He or she might make a cameo and ask how your meal is tasting. In either scenario, you're put on the spot right then and there, and you're asked to tell them what you think. So what do you do in this scenario? Do you tell them exactly what you think, or do you tell them what you think that they want to hear in that moment? If the chef hears great feedback from you and your party, what can he do with it afterward? The unfortunate part of that scenario is that the good word evaporates into thin air. So what I want you to do is think about this approach in the context of your own business, and whether taking it upon yourself or asking your front desk to ask clients for feedback in person will do the job alone. There's some advantages to this. You're making eye contact, you're making it personal. But again, the downside is the client may not be comfortable providing that immediate feedback in person. They might not tell you everything that's on their minds. So, let's take a look at another option. You're probably familiar with paper feedback forms already, and maybe you're already doing this with your spa or salon today. This is incredibly common in the medical field. Let me ask you, so how many of you have actually completed paper surveys after a personal medical visit? As I mentioned, this is common. These surveys are paper-based. They come in the mail after a visit. But the downside here is that they're very lengthy. I just got another one. In fact, the same one I always receive after a routine visit. However, I've not completed this thing once, despite the quality of care that I'm receiving, by the way. And the reason for that is because surveys in general, they don't have a high engagement rate because they're too impersonal, too long. It's too big of an ask of my time or of your time. So today, I want to challenge you to think about a better way, creating that follow-up system for your clients. Even if your clients engage with this kind of survey, the information is not translating to Google or to Facebook or to your website. It gives you information that's useful to have, but it doesn't provide that social proof that you're trusted, that you do a great job for your clients. So let's talk about another way. There's an advantage to email and other electronic methods of reaching out to your clients. It's inexpensive, it's immediate, but it's often not too intrusive. Something like a simple thank you email or an automated text that comes from you after an appointment with a simpler ask, that's a lot easier for your clients to take the time to respond to. Another advantage, so using an electronic method like this, like email, with that you can actually include your links to Google, to Yelp, make it easy for your clients to click on them and provide feedback. You can't really do that with a paper survey. It's even more difficult to do with a phone call. There's really effective ways to do this and ways that are less effective. This is actually one of our specialties here at Broadly. We can talk about the specifics at a later date. But I want to emphasize here is by putting a system in place that works, you're going to start to get reviews. Getting reviews means you're going to start showing up higher in that local search result. You're going to ultimately stand out online. I want to circle back to that chef example for just a minute because I do want to emphasize one thing. I mentioned earlier that the good news evaporated into thin air in that scenario where you're talking with that chef one-on-one. And unfortunately, in that scenario, prospective customers to the restaurant never heard about your experience. So for this reason, I think it's important to make that ask personal when you're with the client, but it's best to finish that conversation electronically. So what I mean by that is tell your clients you'll be following up and asking for feedback. But then follow up with them with an easy to respond method like email, like a text message. By developing a system to follow up with that ask, you can ensure that great feedback is going to land on those pages that matter most to prospective clients. One last thing, and I know it's an important one to all types of business owners, and that is that issue of negative reviews. So I want to address that issue for a minute. You might know from experience already how much a negative review can hurt. It lands on Yelp or Google, and especially when you can't take them down, in the case of when they're false or defamatory, it really hurts when potential clients see them as helpful. I do want to remind you that hiding from them is not at all an option. So if you haven't seen your page, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Doing nothing can lead to very few reviews in general. And many times it is those people who are unhappy who are the first to run online to write a negative review. So ideally, when you're asking for feedback, you're getting any kind of negative response privately or offline. Wouldn't that be so much easier? There are ways to do that, and Broadly offers a solution that enables you to do that, to capture negative sentiment and keep it offline and prevent it from becoming a damaging part of your online reputation. But here's the deal. The best strategy to combat any of this is to get more positive reviews. Those 1-star reviews make less and less of an impact when they're surrounded by loads of 4- and 5-star reviews from your happy clients. So we've talked about a lot today, I know, but these are the fundamental things that you need to do to ensure that your salon, your spa is showing up where your clients are looking for you. And the goal here is really to become that 5-star business. This ensures you show up online in that search. This ensures you stand out. Ultimately, this enables you to do a few things, including attracting the types of clients you want, who are excited about coming into your salon, for example, and who are going to come back. It enables you to charge the prices for services that your 5-star business is going to command. And finally, it establishes you guys as the premium choice in your area. So I hope that was useful, and I hope it was clear that feedback and reviews are the currency of the internet today. To think about that stat, 88% of people trusting the online reviews as much as the personal referrals. I encourage you to get proactive, become part of that online conversation. As promised, I'm including my contact info before we dive into questions. Feel free to write that down if you want to get in touch. A little bit of background about what Broadly does. We're not an advertisement company. What we've done is built a system for generating more online reviews, getting those positive reviews to Google, to Yelp, to Facebook, and on your website. We also keep that negative review, the negative feedback offline, and get that to you privately. I mentioned that a little bit a couple minutes ago. This enables you to get back to your clients personally and the opportunity to make things right with them. If you'd like to learn more, get in touch. We can take a look at your pages, can give you some pointers on how to improve. It's worth a couple minutes of your time. Until then, though, let's take a couple of questions. Again, use that questions feature on GoToWebinar in the lower right to insert your questions, and I'll take a couple of them before we part ways. The first question is from Eliana on the topic of negative reviews, and I get this one a lot, so I'm happy to address it. Eliana wants to know, what should I do with negative reviews? Great question. And my recommendation is you should definitely respond to them. The goal is to acknowledge that client and that a problem exists and offer a solution. But here's where the nuance comes in. Be brief, be apologetic, give them your contact info, a way to get in touch, but offer to resolve the situation offline. You're not going to win any brownie points for getting into a war with any customers online. It's just not a good look. So take it offline as soon as you can and make things right with that client to the best of your ability. Any other questions coming in through GoToWebinar? I got another one along the way from Julie. she's talking about the model of renting chairs to stylists at her salon, but being the owner and whether it made sense for her to invest in a strategy for online reviews. And Julie, definitely. I understand your challenge where you've got a lot of people coming in who have their own clientele and who bring their own following to your salon. But a lot of clientele will associate the quality of your services with your brand name in your local area. So while you may not have complete control over how that service is delivered among all of the stylists renting space in your salon, you ultimately are responsible for the brand reputation of your salon. So it is my recommendation that you do put a process in place and you do get your stylists on board with this concept of client follow-up, building a strong base of great reviews. I think that's it for the questions, but again, feel free to reach me at this number and at my email address. I'm happy to point you in the right direction of where you're trying to go and how you're trying to build a trusty online reputation. I really appreciate you joining us today. Thanks so much and have a great rest of your day. Take care.